Breaking news here on SportsCenter. The Browns have named Joe Flacco their Week 1 starter. Coach Kevin Stefanski going with the seasoned veteran at QB over rookie Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel, who have each started one preseason game. Now, Flacco has not yet played this preseason, but has been slated to start the finale Saturday against the Rams. And with that, we welcome in our NFL analyst, Dan Orlovsky, the birthday boy today. Happy birthday, Dan. Thanks for hanging out with us. All right, let's take it to your reaction to the Browns naming Flacco their QB1.
Yeah, I understand it. I would have gone with one of the rookies if I was Cleveland. Now, what Joe gives this football team with Kevin Stefanski is comfort and confidence. He's been around the NFL for an incredibly long period of time. A couple years ago, took this very similar football team to the playoffs, and he's very comfortable with operating Kevin Stefanski's offense. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, is now again their play caller, and it's a perfect marriage when it comes to Joe's skill set. The reason why I would have gone with one of the rookies was I kind of know who Joe is and what I'm going to get with Joe. They'll be a competitive and good football team. It doesn't answer anything of the future at that position for the Cleveland Browns, but at least that gives them confidence that they have a capable player at that position.
Yeah, I mean, they have quite the depth when it comes to their quarterback room here. But Dan, how do you see the rest of the Browns' depth chart playing out?
Yeah, QB2 becomes the fascinating question. Is it going to be Kenny Pickett, who's been around the NFL for a couple years? Is it going to be Shedeur Sanders, who was really good in his one start? Or was it going to be Dillon Gabriel, who's really good in his one start? So that's going to be the interesting part, is because at some point, Joe Flacco may struggle. He might get injured. It might be an opportunity for one of those rookies to step forward in the QB2 role. And so that will be the fascinating development, is once the depth chart comes out and they get into this regular season mode, who's going to be the second string quarterback and one play away from being the starting quarterback in Cleveland?
I mean, as Joe Flacco well knows, it can change from one week to another, Dan. But let's play our favorite game Monday afternoon, quarterback. We're going to stay in Cleveland. Give us one word to describe Dillon Gabriel's performance this weekend.
Yeah, curveball, and meaning it throws a curveball into the quarterback situation, depth, future at Cleveland. He was really impressive. I thought his tape, when it came to some of the ball placement versus tight coverage, was big time. And the opportunity that he has with a James or Jamari Thrash and distribution of the football, it just throws a little bit of curveball into what Shedeur did last week and who's going to be the future QB2 or starter in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. How about one word for Sharpe?
To move them. Very rarely do you see a team move on from their drafted young quarterbacks, whether it's a third rounder or a fifth rounder, which is Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, draft slot. So I think they probably go with the youth movement behind Flacco, which again is a great opportunity for those young players. Kenny Pickett, I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm sure he is either, that he couldn't take over that job. He is somebody who was there earlier, could have competed, had an equal footing with Joe Flacco. I know he's been banged up a little bit, wasn't able to actually get on the field, but I just wonder if this might have been his last opportunity to be that starter in the NFL, and it came up just short, and I wonder if he's the odd man out of this room.
All right, Danny Cannell with this breaking news. Joe Flacco is going to be your starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Danny. We've got breaking news out of the NFL, where the Browns have named Joe Flacco as their starting quarterback. He beat out Kenny Pickett and rookies Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders for the QB1 job in Cleveland. The 40-year-old Flacco entering his 18th NFL season, his second stint in Cleveland. Last year, he started 6 games for the Colts, throwing 12 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Flacco will make his 2025 Browns debut on September 7th when they host the Bengals. Aditi Kunkambwala joining us now here on CBS Sports HQ. You know this team inside and out. What did the Browns see in training camp that ultimately made them decide on Flacco, Aditi?
He was the most available quarterback. We just heard Danny Cannell say this. Everybody else in the room got hurt. And look, Joe Flacco, obviously, I sat down with him. I went and spent a whole day with his family in July. He fully expected it to win this job. He wanted to win this job. He said he wasn't going to be doing this if he didn't think he had a shot to win this job. But unfortunately, Kenny Pickett, who started camp by taking the first team reps and did look really good, hurt his hamstring pretty badly the first week. So he's been limited since then. Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders are both very promising rookies who've done well, but have some growing and developing to do, and haven't really been in a position yet to take significant first-team reps to beat out Flacco. And by the way, both of them have gotten hurt too. Dillon Gabriel tweaked his hamstring. Shedeur Sanders last week tweaked his oblique. And of course, for a quarterback, the oblique affects everything in the way that you move your torso. So Flacco obviously brings a lot of veteran stability. He knows how to run this Kevin Stefanski offense inside out. His arm is still as explosive as it's ever been. He very well could have won this job outright, but right now, the best thing about him has been his availability. The good thing, Jenny, is that the Browns can now finally start running offense suited and tailored to Flacco. Because head coach Kevin Stefanski even told us last week as we were prepping for last week's game that each quarterback does something a little bit different. And so they've been running different offense for each quarterback. Not drastically different, but now they can really sort of get into what they're installing, what their scheme will be, and move forward.
Yeah, having those one-on-one reps with the QB1 is definitely going to be key here. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but are you insinuating that if there weren't health issues, you think this job might have gone to Kenny Pickett?
I don't know that because we didn't see the whole competition play out, right? We saw the first week. Now, in the spring, Kevin Stefanski was indeed giving the majority of the first-team reps to Kenny Pickett and a lot of reps to Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. He explained that to everyone and to Joe Flacco himself as the fact that we know what Joe brings. We need to learn these other guys. Kenny Pickett, of course, had those 2 years starting in Pittsburgh. Then last year spent the year as a backup with the Eagles, went 1-0 as a starter. The Browns needed to learn him a little bit more. They needed to get a better sense of him. I know that they really liked his athleticism. His speed was very impressive to Kevin Stefanski. They felt good about what he could do, and then he got hurt. So Joe Flacco actually got more first-team reps than the Browns probably expected during training camp. Deshaun Watson, you're seeing over there, he's still not back from the re-torn Achilles. So it's a crowded room. And you're forgetting also Snoop Huntley is in there. They had to bring him in 2 weeks ago when Dillon Gabriel got hurt before the first preseason game.
So you just mentioned it's a crowded room. So what happens with all these extra QBs that they just have floating around?
Look, I can tell you this. Deshaun Watson isn't healthy just yet. We're still waiting to see how healthy Kenny Pickett is. I know Kevin Stefanski had said to me that he hopes Pickett could possibly be full go by this third preseason game against the Rams, but that's just a hope. And Shedeur Sanders, we don't know how bad that oblique is. And like I just said, for a quarterback, the oblique is pretty significant. So who's healthy? Are all four actually going to be healthy at the start of the season? I can tell you that Browns general manager Andrew Berry has insisted that he can keep 4 quarterbacks on the active roster. His feeling is that your last 5 guys on a roster are developmental guys anyway, and so why not keep a developmental quarterback? But I can also tell you, Jenny, that I was chatting with an offensive coach in the NFL just last night who was asking me about Kenny Pickett as a trade object for trade status. And I do think, and not just Pickett, it could be Flacco. If you look around the league right now, there are still some unsettled quarterback situations. There are still some teams that potentially aren't totally satisfied with their quarterback rooms. There's a very good chance that Andrew Berry and the Browns are going to be fielding phone calls for any and all of these quarterbacks right now.
A little nugget there from Aditi. I love that. You're great at finding out these little scoops, and you did mention that you spent some real quality time with Flacco and his family earlier this summer. What else did you learn about him during that visit related to this upcoming season?
He's playing looser than he ever has. So he still has an enormous amount of confidence. You mentioned last year, Jenny, my crew, our CBS crew, had a bunch of games that Flacco actually played in and started for the Colts. And I can tell you this, Flacco made that offense go. We watched him engineer a comeback win over the Steelers. We watched him almost bring the team back against the Jaguars. We watched him win in Tennessee. It's hard to be in and out, not have it necessarily be your team. If you think about it, the Colts aren't going to give up on their first-round pick, Anthony Richardson. So that's why